Hey, looking out over the Golden Gate Bridge on another gorgeous sunny Saturday. We are not looking at the Golden Gate Bridge, we're looking at a grocery store parking lot. And it's not been quite a week since I did one of these, but I look good today. And otherwise you'll have to see me in my work uniform. Nobody wants to see that. So, here we are with The Little Mermaid, which my friend Robin requested, knowing full well what I was going to turn it into instead. But Ansley, you say, we already know the story of The Little Mermaid. No, you don't. No, we don't mean the Disney version. We mean the super dark, angsty one where she dies in the end. No, you don't. You don't know The Little Mermaid. Trust me. Little Mermaid is not technically a fairy tale. Like, it's not a folk tale. It's a short story written by Hans Christian Andersen. But most of his stories, because they kind of have that folktale feeling to them, they've been grandfathered in as fairy tales. Maybe I'll tell you the Snow Queen one day. I like that one a lot. But the thing about Little Mermaid and all of Hans Christian Andersen's stories is they are super Christian, Catholic, I think. I don't know a lot of Catholicism. I was a Baptist child, but Baptists understand religious guilt too. And Little Mermaid is a big old religious guilt story. Yeah, you're like, what? No, for serious. All right, this is how. First of all, way back, going back to the Christian missionaries coming into pagan countries, pagan European countries. You know, they've got a lot of folk tales, and folk, you know, stories and beliefs, most of which make up the basis of all fairy creature stories, including mermaids. And when you throw some Christian missionaries in there, and no, you can't believe this, or hey, we can, you know, the people, you know, being Christianized, going, hey, we can squeeze this into what we already think, and that's how you get Christmas trees, you know. But it's also how you get stories where fairies and pagan gods coexist with Christian mythology. You get things like, as a little bit of a sidetrack, if you've ever seen the Ghost Rider movie with Nicolas Cage, it's really bad. It's great. I have it on DVD. And there's like these scary demons that are like special. And when they're researching them, they're like, ah, yes, these demons. When Lucifer rebelled against heaven and there was the war of the angels, and then the gates closed, you know, on heaven and hell at the end of the war, and some of the angels were stuck in between, and those are these demons, the ones we have to defeat. If they had turned a page in their big, pretty, ancient book, they would have seen that those are not demons, those are fairies. It's one of the explanations that they came up with for fairies back in the day. Which, to be fair, can also be very scary. Little Mermaid isn't scary, though. Little Mermaid is cute. She wants to see the human world so bad, but it's not dingle hoppers that she loves so much. One of the things that she really loves about humans when she hears the stories about humans is they have immortal souls, kind of the basis of all Christian belief. You've got some part of you that when you die, it never dies. It goes to heaven or to hell, depending on how many times you went to church, you know. But fairy creatures, this is where we go back to the pagan thing, fairy creatures, not humans created by God in the same way, they don't have immortal souls. They're never going to heaven. When they die, they're just dead. And Little Mermaid is one of those. She is like, but when we die, you know, after 300 or 400 years or whatever, you know, we just turn into sea foam, and I don't want to do that shit. I want to go to heaven. And they're like, you can't go to heaven. You're a mermaid. But if you get married to a human, not that that's ever going to happen, but just hypothetically, if you get married to a human, marriage is two souls joining forever before God. And so if you don't have a soul, what can you get joined to? Aha! So if you win the love of a human and you can get married, you get an immortal soul, and then you can go to heaven and be with Jesus. And she's like, that sounds like some good shit. And then there's the whole bit, you know, from the movie where this beautiful prince crashes and in his ship, and she rescues him, and she takes him to this temple, and one of the girls, you know, in the temple, like, she sits there and watches over him, and he sees her like in his I've almost drowned haze, and it's like, God, you're so beautiful. And then there's a girl at the temple who kind of looks like her, who takes him in, like, into the temple with all the rest of them, and then he goes home. But he's like, I'm really in love with this girl. I don't remember, I think she was one of the girls from the temple. Yeah, definitely. And Little Mermaid gives up her voice, as you know. And she, the Sea Witch says that every step is going to be like walking on knives. And sure, we can make this into a thing about giving up your identity for a man and how it'll never make you happy. And sure, if you want to retell it that way, but that's not the original purpose of the story. It's much more of like a mortification of the flesh, you know, as religious, you know, blah, blah, blah. She's earning her soul with this pain. She goes and finds the prince, and she's really pretty. She doesn't talk. And he kind of like adopts her. It's weird. She sleeps on like a pillow at the foot of his bed or something. And she's like his pet. And he's really gross about it. And he's like, I'd almost marry you, except for you're an idiot and you can't talk. And anyway, I'm really in love with this girl that rescued me, but she works in a temple, so she can never marry me. And she's just sitting here like, fucking damn it, it's me! But he doesn't know because he's an idiot. And then the king is like, row, you got to get married to a girl. And he's like, well, I'll go meet the princess, but I'm not going to marry her because I'm still in love with this girl that worked at the temple that I've never seen again, but I'm pretty sure she was a temple lady. And oh, but this princess, she is beautiful and virtuous. She was raised in some sort of religious institution. It's the girl from the temple. It's not the Little Mermaid, but it's the girl that kind of looks like her. And he ends up getting married to her. And it's gonna be, you know, the morning of the marriage. She's gonna die because she failed to fulfill the thing that was supposed to give her legs. And her sisters all come to her and they're like, we made a deal with the Sea Witch for our hair, that we've got this big shiny sharp knife, and if you stab Princey with it, he'll die, and the blood is going to fall on your legs and they're going to turn into a tail, and you can go back to being a mermaid and live out the rest of your, you know, 300 years or whatever and being a mermaid. And she just can't do it. She stands over his bed with the knife and she just can't do it. And she goes and throws the knife into the sea, and she throws herself into the sea, and she's all ready to become sea foam and go into oblivion. And then here comes all of these balls of light, and she finds that she is a ball of light, and she's like, what's up? What happened to me? Didn't I die? You know, did I get a soul? And they're like, no, you didn't. But you are a spirit of the air like us. And you have permission now from God to wander the earth looking for good little children. And every time you see a good little child that obeys their mother and father, it will shorten your like purgatory life as a ball of light. And every time you see a bad little child, you'll cry because they're making God sad. And every tear that you cry will lengthen your sentence. And I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up. So, bad little kitties that don't eat your broccoli and don't do what your mommy and daddy say, you're the reason Ariel isn't going to heaven. Religious guilt. What did I tell you? That's it. That's the real Little Mermaid. You should come talk to me about it and everything else, and tell me what I should tell next. All right, bye.